Wow, the year is just flying by, isn't it? And here in Zambia, the innovation scene seems to be heating up even faster than the summer weather.
It really does feel like things are accelerating.
Absolutely. So we've got this comprehensive newsletter in front of us today detailing a whole load of recent milestones. Our plan is basically to cut through the noise and get right to the strategic heart of what's happening.
Sounds good?
Okay, let's unpack this because looking through it, this isn't just, a list of events. It feels more like a roadmap. You can see the deliberate, focused action. We're going to try and quickly pull out the key training stuff, shine a light on some really exciting talent coming through,
Hmm.
and maybe most importantly, dig into some of the tough lessons being learned that honestly could shape the next few years for tech across the region.
Exactly. I think the material gives a really clear snapshot of where that intentional investment is actually flowing.
Mm.
And you can kind of see two main things happening. First, there's this very structured, almost surgical effort to build up the local innovation pipeline right from the grassroots.
Right.
And second, you see these strategic insights filtering through from watching how global players try and sometimes, let's be honest, fail to make their models work here on the continent. So yeah, this deep dive should be a good shortcut to understanding that strategic focus.
Okay, let's start with that foundation building then. Because the sources show capacity building isn't just happening in the, let's say, predictable tech areas. We've got the official start of the Level 3 Business Incubation Training under the Z4ABC project.
Yeah, that's significant.
And what seems really significant here is the focus, right? Connecting innovation and growth to these, well, maybe non-traditional, but potentially high-impact value chains. They're working with cooperatives and enterprises in pigeon pea, bamboo, and ecotourism.
Which are huge potential growth areas for Zambia.
Exactly. And they're making sure it's not all Lusaka-centric. The training started in Nimba, it's moving to Chapata, then Rufunsa, and the skills are practical. Product certification, market linkages, actual business growth strategies.
That geographical spread and the sectoral depth are just critical if you want equitable growth, not just pockets of success. But alongside that, we're also seeing this big strategic push to kind of professionalize the more traditional tech pipeline through aligning with institutions. I think we have to talk about the Memorandum of Understanding, the MUU, signed with ZCAS University, ZCASU.
Yes, I saw that.
This isn't just, a photo op. This directly tackles one of the biggest bottlenecks we see everywhere in African tech.
Yeah.
That infamous gap between academic theory and, well, market-ready innovation.
Right, the practical skills gap.
Precisely. The explicit goal here is getting ZCASU students integrated into the ecosystem. We're talking hands-on experience, joint research projects, skills development through things like hackathons.
And it works both ways, which I thought was smart. It's not just the students benefiting. The sources mention that BongoHive our employees also benefit. They get flexible payment options, discounts for ZCSU programs. It shows this systemic commitment to continuous upskilling.
Yeah, it acknowledges that the people driving the ecosystem need to keep learning too. It's a really healthy feedback loop.
Okay, sticking with practical application, the sources also highlighted the recent ZICTA ICT Innovation Business Development Training, a 5-day intensive for startups. Now, obviously, we don't need to explain what a lean model canvas is here.
No.
But what was the specific local angle? How did the training help apply those tools like, customer personas, market sizing here in Zambia?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? The value wasn't in just defining the tools. It was forcing the participants to use those tools to validate their solutions against specifically local challenges. Things like maybe unreliable internet connectivity in certain areas or complex logistics or just different payment behaviors.
Okay.
They were pushed to refine their financial models based on the reality of the Zambian investment scene, local consumer spending habits.
Yeah.
Basically turning interesting ideas into businesses that could actually survive and hopefully attract funding here.
Right, making it real. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, shifting from the structures to the people. We're looking ahead to the Women in Tech Zambia Demo Day. It's happening October 10th, 2025, right here in Lusaka.
Yeah, always a highlight.
And the stakes are pretty high. You've got women entrepreneurs pitching for $10,000 equity-free funding. That's significant. But I think the bigger story maybe isn't just the cash, it's the institutional weight behind it.
Right.
The partnership with Standard Chartered Foundation and Village Capital.
Absolutely. That partnership is key. It signals this isn't just a one-off competition. It's part of a much more systematic investment in trying to correct some of those historical gender imbalances we see in startup funding globally, and definitely here too.
Yeah,
And to really bring it home, we should probably mention some of the finalists listed in the source material. The caliber is just fantastic.
please do.
We're seeing leaders like Susan Jashimba from CoreLink Consulting, Sitsi Zulu from Goodleaf Investment, Niza Aretha Zulu from BioGreen Technology, Winji Nakamba from WasteMet Zambia, and Kapampa Mwape from Kulanda Publishing House. It's a diverse group.
Wow, yeah, different sectors too.
Exactly. And it just proves the ecosystem is moving beyond just, talking about talent to actively funding and promoting diverse leadership, which is absolutely essential if you want innovation that actually serves the entire community.
Okay, so from showcasing talent, let's pivot slightly to building talent. The newsletter flags up some opportunities designed to actively shape that future workforce. First up, there's the announcement for a dedicated design challenge.
The UI/UX focus.
Yeah, but it seems like more than just making things look good. It's described as a deep dive into proper UI/UX methods, user research, even product management and business strategy. And it ends with a hands-on mini redesign challenge. It feels like it's trying to train designers to think more like product owners, merging aesthetics with solid business thinking.
Which is a skill set that's often missing, that bridge between design and business value.
Totally. And then for those maybe looking at higher level industry applications, there's the pre-conference symposium that's set for October 14th. The focus is pretty specific, cybersecurity and AI, but specifically within Africa's pharmaceutical and health industry.
Yeah, with Will Rode from QuantaHub too. That's a critical topic.
It really is. How do you use AI for better diagnostics, but at the same time lock down sensitive patient data? How do you protect these vital health platforms from cyber threats, which are only increasing? It hits a key challenge for any growing economy scaling tech securely.
Definitely. It's about building trust as much as building tech.
Well, if I had to pick one thing from this whole update that feels most critical for long-term sustainable growth, it might actually be the 2 workforce surveys that we're conducting right now. It feels like the ecosystem holding up a mirror.
I agree. This could be fundamentally important.
Because, it raises that crucial question. Every tech hub, everywhere, eventually hits a talent wall, right? They realize the pipeline isn't quite delivering what industry needs. These surveys feel like a proactive attempt to diagnose that potential misalignment before it becomes a crisis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's smarter than just a simple skills gap analysis because we're looking at it from both sides to really pinpoint the issues. First, you've got the business owner survey asking companies, okay, what specific skills are actually missing when you hire recent grads?
Yeah.
That often highlights the gap between uni courses and, day one job reality.
Right, the practical stuff.
Exactly. But then second, there's the professional survey asking experienced people, what do you wish you'd known before your first job? And that often uncovers the softer skills, the practical tools, the industry context that formal education might just miss.
That's gold. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
If you connect this to the bigger picture, this systematic effort to actually align education with what the market needs, honestly, it's probably more important in the long run than any single startup getting funded this year. This is about building the foundation for the next decade or two of growth.
Okay, so let's shift gears now from Zambia's internal work to some external lessons. The newsletter included a buzzing insights section, and it focused on a bit of a cautionary tale. Uber quietly pulling out of Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire after trying for 6 years.
Yeah, that was an interesting piece. 6 years is a long time to try and make a market work.
It is, and the surface problems are kind of what you might expect. Riders complaining about fares being too high or not competitive, poor availability. But also drivers really struggling with cash flow. For a global giant like Uber, failing to crack a major West African hub after that long, it says something.
It really does. And the deeper analysis suggests the core failure was trying to just sort of impose this global one-size-fits-all playbook onto a market with completely different infrastructure, different regulations, different financial realities. You just can't copy-paste the San Francisco model and expect it to work everywhere.
No, clearly not.
For example, those driver cash flow issues weren't just about payment timing. It was about needing to integrate cash payments effectively, dealing with varying mobile money usage, handling vehicles maybe needing more maintenance relative to income, and then the regulatory friction trying to fit global standards onto local vehicle requirements. Driver licensing, it sounds like they never quite cracked that either.
Right, operating in a gray area.
Which ends up pleasing nobody, not the regulators, not the consumers, not the drivers.
It's A really vital lesson, I think, especially for Zambian entrepreneurs aiming to scale across the continent. That local adaptation isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely fundamental. It's the core differentiator, as you said. And just as a quick aside, it was interesting to see, buried in the source, a note about our own operations, I should say. Briefly mentioning using Google's AI voice tech to deliver the newsletter update as AI-powered audio.
Ah, yeah. Eating our own dog food, so to speak.
Exactly. It's a small detail, but it shows an internal adoption of the very technologies, AI, machine learning, that we're encouraging others to build with. It's walking the talk.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
So, okay, wrapping this up, what does it all mean? I mean, the newsletter paints this picture of an innovation hub that's incredibly busy, sure, but also strategically focused.
Yeah.
You see work happening at the grassroots, agritourism, the ZICTA training, but also preparing really high caliber talent through things like the Women in Tech Demo Day and that cybersecurity symposium.
Yeah, it's that dual focus. And I think if we connect it all back, the real long-term strength here isn't just launching individual companies, impressive as that is. It's the systematic effort you see to diagnose and actually fix those foundational gaps in education, in industry alignment, through things like those workforce surveys we talked about.
That self-correction mechanism.
That's exactly it. That's what builds real resilience and guarantees that growth is sustainable and meaningful, not just hype.
So, a final thought for our listeners then.
Well, thinking about that Uber example,
Yeah.
given those severe localization challenges that even global giants face, particularly around things like cash flow and navigating local regulations,
Yeah.
the question for you perhaps is, what specific financial and infrastructural constraints, unique to the Zambian context, do you need to anticipate and build resilience against right from day one, even before you get your first customer? Mull that over as you think about your own bold ideas.